We warmly welcome all of you for today's program, Certificate in Branch Banking Operations. Hope most of you are our members, IBSL members. The Institute Bankers of Sri Lanka is a statutory body incorporated by Act of Parliament. And our chairman and vice chairman is from the central bank. The other governing board members are from the banks, including most of the banks, including National Savings Bank, Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, Sampath Bank, Ceylon Bank, like that. They are the one who decided which type of programs IBSL has to be conducted. Our core programs are Intermediate in Applied Banking and Finance and Diploma in Applied Banking and Finance. In addition to these programs, we are conducting series of diploma programs and certificate programs. Today's program, Certificate in Branch Banking Operations, is also the one of the certificate program the IBSL is annually conducted. Let's introduce the resource panel of the program. Today's resource person is Mr. Jagat Gamanayaka. He is the former Senior Deputy General Manager of the National Savings Bank and so was the governing board member of the Institute Bankers of Sri Lanka, and so is the lecturer of the IBSL within last 15 years. So has the vast experience in the banking sector. So we'll do today's lecture. In addition to Mr. Jagat Gamanayaka, Mr. A.R.A. Nawaz from Bank of Ceylon and Mr. Chaminda Dheerasinghe from Nations Trust Bank, Assistant Vice President, Dr. V. Loganathan, former Chief Manager, Bank of Ceylon, Mr. P. Srikanth, former head of the financial institution, Hatton National Bank, also will join to conduct the program. And this program is 48 hours program. It means you have to be with us next 4 months. At the end of the program, we will be conducting a written examination. For this written examination, it's not an online examination. You have to be attend to the IBSL at Colombo 8. And I hope you go through the syllabus of the course contents. The pass mark of the examination is 51. The merit is 65 and the distinction pass is 81. These are the things I would like to tell you. And today's resource person, Mr. Jagat Gamanayaka, he will do the session from now onwards till 12:30. I would like to invite Mr. Jagat to commence the session.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Right. Okay. I thought you are not there. Right. Okay. Okay. Good morning. Then today you are going to be. It's a certificate course, right? How many of you are there? Around 14, 13 members with the no? Right. Before I commence, I think Mrs. Godakanta has spoken to you about the contents and the lecture panel and how we conduct this program. Okay, so since today being the first day, I may going to take you for next, I think 3 weeks or so, right? I will tell you what are the areas I'm going to cover. Then, right, can I just have you some brief introduction from you, Chamod? Where are you, Puta? Which bank you are? It's okay to tell me, Chamod?
It's okay, sir. I'm Chamod Jaisinghe. I'm from Rambukkana.
Yeah.
I'm working at a commercial bank as a banking trainee.
Yeah, good. Okay. Where are
I'm
you?
I'm from Rambukkana.
No. Which Rambukkana? You are attached to a head office branch or?
No, I'm working at Ormo Street branch.
Good. Right, Chamod. Thank you very much. Okay, Lakshan, you are there?
Yes, boss. Good morning.
Yeah, Lakshan.
Yeah, sir. My name is Lakshan.
Yeah.
I'm currently works in International Bank, Kataragam branch.
Okay, good.
And I'm
good. Kataragam branch. Nice.
Yeah.
Are there people are coming now?
Yes, sir. Yes. So many people are coming.
Good. Right. Okay, Sanduni, how about you?
Good morning.
Better to get to know each other now only. Otherwise, if you're in the physical class, we can see you all now. Only virtually we have to discuss with you. Sandhani, which bank you are?
Good morning, sir. I am her brother, and she is working in the weekend. So I am recording this lecture on behalf
No
of her.
problem, no problem. Okay,
And
Sandhani.
she is working at Selinco Life Insurance
Good. Now,
in Kadawatha
see,
branch.
right. I mean, one thing, Sandhani has a good brother. Yeah, I know. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Good brother, because nobody is doing things like that. Right. Good son. Then who is the next? Lakshan, Madhushan. Madhushan.
Yes, sir.
Madhushan. Yeah. Okay. Which bank and are you working or?
Yeah, I'm on Dylan Gintorage, work at
Yeah.
Pan Asia Card Center attached to Risk Department.
Okay, right. Risk. Okay,
Yes.
Asia. Good. I know your boss. Right. Okay. Then Malindu. Malindu, which bank, Malindu?
Yeah, my name is Ishan Malindu, and I'm working for Pan Asia Bank as well, and attached to Risk Department. Yeah,
Okay.
both from same
Right.
department.
Good. Nimal or Nimal?
Hello, sir. I'm Kavin Nemaldas. I'm from Ragama. I'm working in HSBC Colombo 2 branch
Okay, good.
as a documentation specialist.
Okay, good, Nima. Then Niranji, no? It's that correct, Niranji? Niranji?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, which bank you are Puta?
Bank of Ceylon, sir. Alavu
Good.
branch.
Head office branch?
No, sir. Alavu branch. Bank of Ceylon, Alavu branch.
Okay, Niranji. Okay. Then Sandaruwan, Vatsala?
Sir, I'm from NDB Bank, Cardival.
Cardival, good. Sandhuni? Sandhuni we had spoken to, no? Right. What is that? Tisura?
Sir, I'm Lochana from Pan Asia, attached to cards marketing.
You are Sunil.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Known person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just got your voice, right? Okay. Thank you very much, Puta. Now, so I don't know. Are there any other students there to only all these people? Right. Okay. Now, there may be today, maybe the first day. I think this course was suddenly started, right? And then we try to make it interesting. I know it's a certificate course. Therefore, usually I start at 8:30 to sharp, right? And we may go from 8:30 till 12:30. There may be some break in between, right? We will have a 10-15 minutes break, and then we'll continue. Okay, that is how I'll carry out this lecture. Only thing is I have another lecture from 1:30 till 5:30, so I have to safeguard my voice also, right? By the way, now I think Mrs. Godaganda has spoken to you and gave you a brief descriptions about what is the content you're going to cover and blah blah. And I need your support, Puta, right? So support in the sense, now this is, it's a virtual class. No, I know some people are just switch on and they sleep or they do other works while shopping. They all thing you can do, but only thing is try to have a two-way dialogue with me. Wherever you want to contribute, if you're not understood what I am telling, so you have a liberty to just mute and unmute and just talk to me, and whatever that areas you need to share with me, or you want to add something, or maybe not understood, please be with me, so we will have a fruitful dialogue and study something, right? Any of you all have attended my classes before? And Madhushan,
No,
you have?
no, this is the first time.
I didn't get at you, Puta. Mokada?
No, sir, this is my first time.
I can't hear you, Puta. Mokada, you have?
No, this is my first time
Right. Okay. Right. Nobody's followed my lectures at IBSL any course, no? Right. Okay. Good way. In that way is fine. Right. Then, so therefore, I will straight away moving to our our topic. Right. Can you see now the slides as well? Okay, Buddha. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. Then, so we'll start the branch operations today. And what we are going to discuss with you now, some of the slides I have incorporate later on, right? But don't worry. Now, maybe today or maybe next week, we are going to cover what is financial system. And today we are going to give you a brief introduction. Some of the things maybe you are aware, but to get a better understanding of this, right? Okay, so let's look at it. The first, what is financial system, right? And then we are going to discuss about what are the components of financial system. Then we are going to discuss about now, say for example, for the component of financial system, you may have basically different components. Now we are going to discuss all these components and the implications to the banking industry and things like that, why it is important. Then the fourth area we may going to continue with the role of financial systems and financial system stability. Then we going to touch about the financial crisis. Then we may going to touch with you the confidentiality management. Now you know the banks business are purely depend on customers' trust and confidence, right? It's purely depend on customers' trust and confidence. So therefore, we are going to discuss how we are going to, I mean, your bankers as Bank of Ceylon, PA, BC, or whatever what sort of initiative you have taken to build up the trust and confidence of the bank about the customers, about your bank, right? And there may be we may going to touch again some area. It's a new area, right? Previously that was not discussed. Therefore, we thought of incorporating the ethics into the financial business, right? How important the ethics, right? As a bank employee, uh, why we need to maintain, why we need to adhere to ethical business standards, right? So that's another area we are going to discuss, and we'll see when the time permit. We will incorporate new things which is prevailing to your present banking industry, right? Okay, for the time being, we may touch on these areas. Okay, now you know. Okay, there's something wrong. Right. Now we know we are going to discuss the financial system, a system. So what do you mean by a system? Now, what is a good example for a system, Puta? Right? What is a good example for system? Right? Can you name one systems? Right? One system is our body. A very good example is a human body. Now, our human body is usually consist with systems. We have a digestive systems, we have a brain system, we have a nerve systems, right? We have a lot of systems. Now, one of these system is not functioning well, right? What do you think, right? Now, some of these systems not functioning, that means your entire body is working but not in a good condition. There may be having some problem with certain systems. So financial systems also, that is why we call it's having different type of component. Now think about the computer system, Now, what is your computer system is having? A set of things working together as part of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. That is what we call a system, right? Now, think about the computer system. You have a monitor, then you have a hard disk, you have a software, you have a, it's consists of different parts, components, systems of things working together as part of a mechanism or interacting network. We call them as a usual system, right? We call them as a usual system. Then you noted that again, the basically the now think about our human body. If you think about the human body as a financial system, right? What is brain? We call them as, isn't brain is an economic sector or financial sector. Now, say for an example, right? If you take your brain, wait, let's see whether it is there. Right, no, it is not there. Okay, now if you take your body, right, as an compare with the financial system, your brain is, you call them as a usually your financial system. Then your blood veins, right? Blood veins, අපි කියන්නේ රුධිර නාල කියන්නේ. That is what you call a financial system. I just comparing a body with financial system. Then your blood, now blood is what? It is your money or finance. It's circulating every part, right? Then where's your heart? Can you compare heart with something where all these financial systems are controlled? Who? It is a central bank. The central bank, monetary systems and financial sector regulation is your heart. That is your control, your blood circulation. And okay, then, so what is your human body? The human body you can consider as an entire economy, right? So that is why we call the financial system is the backbone of economy, right? That is why we call the financial system is a backbone of economy, right? If your financial system's not functioning well, right, the entire economy is collapsed. Now, good example we may going to touch little later on. I think most of you may heard about financial crisis. The financial crisis, the last financial crisis, which took place in 2007, 2008, you see the entire economy is collapsed. There's nothing because of due to various reasons. We are going to touch, right, under financial crisis. We are going to touch why the world economy has collapsed because of financial system failure. What are the reasons for that? We are going to discuss. Now think about the Sri Lanka economy also. Now presently the Sri Lanka economy also having a problem with financial system. Right now, printing money, dollar shortage, right? People don't have money. A lot of issues there. Now, what is the issue? The financial issues. What is the problem as that? The economy, right? So therefore, financial systems you can consider as a backbone of an economy, right? Right. That is like a, right, body, entire body is an economy. The financial systems is your blood and heart and all things, veins. You need to provide oxygen. You need to provide food through the blood veins, right? Okay. So now the financial systems, now I think you have an idea about what is financial system. Now, what is financial system is doing? financial system, a set of components. Now I told you the financial system is consists of components. Now these components we are going to discuss little later on, right? That act as an financial intermediary to create and exchange financial assets, right? So therefore, financial system which consists of components and they act as an intermediary to create and exchange financial assets between with whom? Between surplus sectors to deficit sectors. Surplus sectors to deficit sectors. Right? Now, maybe we are using the financial intermediaries, right? For example, surplus units, the accumulated fund, channel fund in the economy to the people, you borrowers, through the financial system, right? I think you have an idea about what is financial system, right? Then sometimes, usually with the saver, they put the money with the bank, right? We take deposits as the savings deposit, fixed deposits, current deposit accounts, and through that we collect the money. That money, what happened? Banks is doing granting or providing loans to the needy people and earn profits. That's how the money is circulating, right? So who provide the credit? Therefore, financial system basically the credit delivery system to the economy. Salli dena dana, right? From the surpluses unit to deficits unit, right? So otherwise, those need money cannot be obtained the money because if you don't have a systems like that. Okay, now I think you are aware about the financial system. So in today's context, the financial system create value, right, and exchange financial assets. Therefore, the systems which have in components, therefore act as financial intermediaries to create and exchange financial assets. Right. I think now you have a little bit of idea about what is the financial system. So first we discuss the financial system. Now, if you talk a little bit of the history about the financial system, right? We have three distinct periods. Some of you are maybe not, I think, born during that time, definitely, right? From 1948, now after the independence, from 1948 till 1977, till 1948 till 1997. So we have a first stage. The banking sector, the financial sector, highly regulated, highly concentrated. What do you mean by that? Only few banks are there. Only banks, state banks like Bank of Ceylon, NSB, People's Bank, only few handful of state banks, the prominent banks, right? So most of these banks are government banks. So government drives the financial system. Sometimes the interest rate also governed by this by the government, right? Limits other people to enter into the financial market is restricted. So therefore, during that time, so government banks is enjoy monopoly situation. Right? That is the period between 1948 till 1977. Then you know what happened after 1977. That's what I told you, but you may heard, but you're not born. After the J.R. Jayawardena's regime, the Sri Lankan market opened up. We call them as Vyurta Arthiki. Right? Everybody's talking about. Right? So as a result of that, economic liberalization, now the banking system little change. Now, who are the pioneers? State banks. Yeah. Now, what happened? After opening banks, other banks also coming to the market. Private banks. Now, like Pan Asia, majority of y'all, right? Your bank also came after open up the economy. Lot of private banks into the financial system, right? As well as foreign banks also entered into the Sri Lanka. So the interest rate now determined by whom? Not by the bank, then by the market itself. By the market itself. Anybody can come into the market provided that you have to obtain certain clearance or license from central bank as a regulator. But there's no any hard and fast rule. Any financial institution can come to the industry. Right? So therefore, market to play a important role in today's context. Okay, can any one of you tell me what is the type of market? Now you may heard about monopoly market, monopolistic market, perfect competition market. In your A level, what is the banking market today? What is the type banking market today? Mona වෙළඳපළක ව්‍යුහයක්ද තියෙන්නේ? කාටද කියන්න පුළුවන්? Economy කළා නම් ඉතින් පොඩ්ඩක් දන්නවා. කාටද කියන්න පුළුවන්? මොන වගේ market එකක්ද? Don't worry, open up and tell me. වැරදුනට කමන්නේ අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නනේ ඇවිල්ලා තින්නේ. Right? Niranji. Okay. So Niranji, what is the type of market we are having? Ketaki, what is the market we call them as? Some big players are there. There are small players. We are going to discuss all these things later on. Right? Okay, I'll leave it to you. Just think, what is the type of market we are playing? There are few players, big players, and there are some other players also. Right? Okay, now I will explain to you later on the market. Right? Okay. So we call them as it is a monopolistic market or oligopolistic market. We call it. Kati Payadi Karna Veladapalak Tamai Danata TNE Sri Lanka financial institutions. Market take a value. Right? Okay. Then I will explain later on, right, why I said so. Okay, coming back again to the subject, right? Okay, coming back again, right? Then you noted that, as I'll explain to you, that is the second era between 1977 to late 1990s. That is the second stage. I told you first stage from 1948 to 1977, how the financial system worked. Then we discussed from 1977 to around late 1990s, how a market does behave, financial market, right? Then you look at it from beyond 2000, right? Since 2000, now the market is further opening, right? Foreigners to invest government bonds, selling bonds to countries, the foreign countries. So the electronic finance came. Now, you know, in first ATM, can anybody know which when was the first ATM established in Sri Lanka? Can anyone tell me when the first ATM established in Sri Lanka? Which year? You may not born, definitely, I suppose, right? It is 1987, right? 1987, the first ATM established in Sri Lanka. Now, from that point, you see, now from since 2000 up to now we are in the 2021, 2 decades has gone. What an improvement! The banking sector, the financial sector change. Now we are in what era? Today, we are going to discuss lower things little later on, right? So which era we are in? We are in the digitalization era. A lot of things will change. We'll look at it, whether the branch sector will die or not. So these things we are going to discuss little later on. Now somebody can say, branch are dying. So that's a question mark in Sri Lanka. Branches are dying. You need only branch. You can do it everything through mobile phone. All the transaction you can do the mobile phone. Then somebody can deal. Okay, what is the point of having branches? Then we say branches are dying. What happened to my job? My goodness, your job. How many people in banking industry you think? How many people are working like you? Can anyone guess? How many? Anyone can guess how many employees in the banking sector altogether are? Right? Can anyone guess? අපි බලමු ටිකක් නැත්තම් කම්මැලි හිතෙනවානේ නේද? මලින්දු කොච්චරක් විතර ඉන්නවා කියලා හිතනවාද ලංකාවේ බැංකු වල සේවකයෝ? ෆිනෑන්ෂල් සෙක්ටර් එකේම ගත්තොත් how much you think? මුළු සෙක්ටර් එකේම මලින්දු හිතන්නේ කීයක් විතර ඔක්කොම පොඩි ලොකු GM ඔක්කොම කොච්චරක් විතරද මලින්දු කියන්නේ?
100,000.
අප්පා ඉච්චරව නෑ. තව ගෙස් කරන්න. පොඩ්ඩක් ඊට වැඩි අඩි. Right? How much?
50,000.
Yeah, it's around now is altogether banking is having around 54,000, right? So other sector, if you take into account, maybe a roughly, I just give you a rough figure, around 60,000 people are employed in the banks, right? 60,000 employees in the bank, right? That you need to know about all these things, right? This is my market. How many people are working? Right? Okay. So therefore, remember, so the banking sector in that states in today, right? We are in the right. We are in the third era, right? Now you see the financial system. There are three systems or three eras, right? We call them as right from 48 to 1977, after independence, and then 77 to 1990s, and since 2000 bank financial industry as well as Sri Lanka is concerned. I think some of you have learned marketing also. So we learn marketing. So we learn from production concept or production era, then move into the product era. Then from product era, we are moving to which era? The sales era. Then we moving from sales era to marketing era or marketing concept. And then from marketing, we moving to societal marketing concept, and from then people are now moving to holistic marketing concept, right? This is how marketing evolved, right? Like management also evolved like that, from classical to neoclassical to behavioral, contemporary, like that. So management also changed, right? Bank also changed significantly like that. So what I want to explain to you, just how the present financial systems evolve in Sri Lanka, right? I think you have an idea now about what? About the financial system. Okay, right? Now it is basically, if you really technically define, right? If you technically define what is a financial system. If you can say it is as a set of markets for financial instruments, and the individuals and institutions who trade in those markets together with regulators and supervisors of the system. That is more technical definition, right? But if you put it in a very simple way, you can say it is an institutional arrangement for mobilizing funds from surplus units. Who are the surplus units? From the savers, and channel fund to deficit units, that is borrowers, right? Okay, if it's not in your handout, right, if you like, just drop down. Yeah, if you're not in your handout, so please just drop down, jot down an institutional arrangement. What is financial system? It is an institutional arrangement for mobilizing fund from surplus units, and channel funds to the deficit units. That is the financial system. මොනවා කළත් ඕක තමයි. Right? ඒ කරන විදිය අනුව තමයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. All these systems are changed how you do it. Now what your bank is doing? You are offering what? Financial solution to customers in order to fulfill their needs. Right? All banks are doing like that. Right? All banks are trying to sort out customers' problem, providing the financial solution. What you are taking, there you collect the what? You collect the money or profit, and you sell it to, provide solution to the customer. Okay, right. So now I think you understood. So like a marketing. So all banks are do like that. So why some banks are better than other banks? Or why some banks are good or maybe doing better, performing well than other bank? The manner in which you provide that service. People like you are in your bank who provide this service. All right? In this today's highly competitive market, right? Remember, anything can copy. Anything can be copied. Right? Your competitor can copy everything. So today, therefore, banks become more challenging job. Very competitive. Sometimes we call it brutal competition. What do you mean by a brutal competition? Right? Okay, I think now you have an idea about what is financial system. Right. Okay, that is the first lesson you're going to learn. Because financial system, mind you, need to be aware by you wherever you go. When you go for a banking exam, when you go for your diploma courses, any diploma courses, or higher diploma courses, or maybe your degree, or maybe your postgraduate degree, you need to understand what is financial system. Right? Okay, තේරුණාද? Right, Lakshan? Okay, clear? I need I just randomly pick up some people, right? So don't worry, because I just randomly pick up then and there, and I ask from whether you understood or not, right? Why I'll do? Because you are, right, is a sample of population. So I can't ask from each and everybody, I can ask, but it's time consuming, right? අනිත් එක ඔයගොල්ලොත් හරි ගොළුයිනේ නේද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ හරි ගොළුයි. ඒ ගොළු බව අයින් කරලා කතා කරන්න. Right? So you need to talk to me, right? I will open to you all. So then only it become a fruitful relationships. Through that only we can learn. Right? Okay. Up to now we discuss what is financial system. We discuss what is system, right? And how it consists of, and then we discuss the financial system and why financial system play an important role, right? Basically discuss all this. Sometimes there may be we call them as when you talk about the financial system, sometimes we call the direct finance and indirect finance, right? Sometimes we call direct finance and indirect finance. Now indirect finance mean basically we use the intermediary. The bankers are usually for indirect finance, but sometimes we may have a direct finance. You don't want to deal with intermediary. If your financial market is so sophisticated, sometimes you can deal with directly with financial organization, a financial market. If you're more developed market, then we call a direct finance. That also you need to understand. Okay, clear now. Before we moving to the structure of the financial system or the component of the financial system, right? So have you understood what is system and what is financial system? You need to have a better understanding on that. Malindu, Harida, Terunada, Malindu, okay? Right? I will explain it again. Don't worry. Right? Clear? Everybody? Right? Then Ogolo Hari expert lane. Right? Ogolo I will Hari expert now. You are a very techno savvy guys, no? So I think most of you are millennials, I suppose. Huh? Who born after 1998, right? The 2000. හරිද ඔක්කොම ඒ ගණන් නේද නැත්නම් 97 වගේ පස්සේ පුදුන අය නේද ඔක්කොම ටික so some of you are maybe millennials, some of are Z generation, right, who born after 2000 or maybe 2002 3 එක නා එක විදියට define කරනවා, right? Most of you are millennials and you are and others are generation Z. So generation Y and Zs are more techno savvy. හරි නේද මං කියන එක? අපි වගේ නෙමෙයි. අපි ඉතින් කෝකෝ කියලා බෑ උබන්න. But you all are not like that. So you are very technology driven, techno savvy students. Right? ඉතින් ඔය දාපු ගමන් chat box එක තියෙනවා. ටක් ගාලා yes sir. ගහලා එවන්න. දැන් මගේ යටි classes එහෙම තමයි. I know you are very difficult to get the word from you, right? නේද? ඉබ්බගෙන් පිහාටු ගන්නවා වගේ තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ වචනයක් ගන්න. ඉතින් අපි ඒක අතහැරලා දාමු නේ chat box එක තියෙනවා. Right? You have a free to call me and tell me, and there's a chat box say yes sir, understood, thank you sir, okay, understood, right? Okay, so we will continue to do until we physically meet, right? So I hope now you understood the what you understood the what is financial system, right? Next. Okay, now we move on again to the component of the financial system, right? What are the components, right? So these are the things we are going to discuss. We discuss hard central bank, the regulatory authorities. Then we are going to discuss about the type of financial institutions, financial market, financial instrument, payment and settlement, infrastructure, and financial safety net. So these are the things we are going to discuss. Even though you feel it's very simple. We need to understand and we need to cover a lot of areas on this, right? A lot of areas we are going to discuss, right? And this is a fundamentals. That's what I keep on telling you, right? It's a building blocks or a backbone of the banking or financial learning, right? Okay, what are the financial system components? right? What are the financial system components? Regulatory authorities. Then financial institutions, like you say banks, where are you working? The market where the buyers and sellers are coming for various type of businesses. Take a loan, put the money, right? Get the foreign exchange, all these things. Then we have a financial instrument, our financial savings product, lending products like that, payment and settlement infrastructure, where your monies move here and there, right? Then the financial safety nets. That is what we are going to discuss about the deposit insurance, right? All things we are going to discuss in details. Clear? Right. Now let's look at it in that case. The first episode. What are the regulators? Now, who are the regulators in Sri Lanka? Right? What are the regulators in Sri Lanka? Right? Okay, before that, I'll ask from a small question. Now, why we need, now there are regulators, no, everywhere we have a regulators. Why more regulatory power in financial sector? Why we need to have a regulation in the financial sector? Why regulating is more stronger in the financial sector? One factor is what? We are dealing with what? So sensitive money. When it's come to money, everybody is more sensitive, right? So therefore, there is a possibility of misusing funds. Even the banks, the money you collected from the customers, if they misuse, what happened? Those banks going to collapse. So you're not in a position to get the money back. As a result of that, you lost the entire trust about your bank or trust about the organization, the banking sector. You may lose the money. So therefore, banks need to be regulated by the regulator. Banks need to be regulated by the regulator. Right? Okay? Right. Then, another important, financial products, financial business are usually a little bit of what? Complicated. Difficult to understand. Okay, coming back now. I'll ask from you small things, right? Okay, small things. Okay, let me now ask from you, what is the Sri Lanka's literacy rate? කියවීමේ ලිවීමේ හැකියාව කී දෙනෙකුට තියෙනවද ලංකාව? Can anybody tell me? What is the percentage? 100ක් ගත්තොත් what is the literacy level in Sri Lanka? Come on. අයියෝ. ලංකාවේ සාක්කිතාව කීයද? What is the literacy level of Sri Lanka? Nilika? How much? Sandruwan?
About 90%, sir.
Yeah, of course, agree. Around 90 to 95%. So we have a high good education system. Right, good. Right, that is our writing and reading. What is the financial literacy? Moola saksharatava. Okay, let me explain. What is financial literacy? The financial literacy means average person, normal person, their knowledge about financial instruments, their normal knowledge about the financial market, knowledge about these components basically. In general way, sophisticated මාළුකු knowledge එකක් නෙමෙයි. සාමාන්‍ය දැනීම. Transaction, financial transaction, financial instrument, financial market. මේ වගේ මේ පිළිබඳ සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාවගේ තිබෙන than even, right? The average person knowledge about the transaction cost, the financial instruments, financial markers, and things like that. We call them as the financial literacy. Okay, now see, we have a 90 or 95% or 90% of literacy level in Sri Lanka. If I ask from you, what is the financial literacy level in Sri Lanka?
65%.
Then Amadisha, not that. We have around 35 to 40. So that means still there's a huge gap, no Puta? Right? People, average people, they're not know about this. Therefore, what happened? The banks can cheat the customers very well because people don't have much knowledge. Right? So therefore, people trust what bank is telling. මොනවද කියන්නේ ඉතින් අපි ඉතින් අහගෙන දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ බලන්න I'll just give you a simple example. දැන් ඔන්න ඔයා ගාව savings account එකක් තියෙනවා. You are maintaining a savings account. You put the money, deposit the money, you take the money, deposit the money, take the money. End of the month, they will put as, okay, 60% or 355 rupees as an interest. I'm referring to the savings. Right? Are you going to calculate all these things? Our customers, now you are a bankers, no? They never challenge you, no? Even you also don't know why it is. ඔයාගේ මොනවා රෙවොතේ මන් දන්නේ මේ මැෂිමින් හදනවා මේ අපේ software එකකින්ම මේ core banking එකකින්ම මේක හදලා දෙන්නේ අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. But there is a way of calculation. 1 plus, right, r divided by 1 minus r into the power n minus 1. So don't worry. There's a formula. දැන් ඉච්චර මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ ගහපුව ගමන් බඩු වෙනවනේ නේද? Right. There's a formula. Why? Customers trust what you are putting. But once it's come to the FD නම් ඔන්න අවුරුදු ලක්ෂයක් දැම්ම 110 පොලිය රුපියල් 10000 ආවේ නැත්තම් කොක්ක. ඒක easily understand. But there are some instances it is very difficult to calculate. So in that case, some regulator need to be creeping to the business and say to safeguard the customer's interest, because the financial products are basically technical in nature, difficult to understand. So therefore regulators need to be there, right, in order to what? In order to safeguard the innocent customer. Right? Okay? Now I think you understood the financial, why we need regulation. As always, another factor, sometimes customers also may be cheating the bank, no? Why? How? On the loan they got, no? Give one day. Now do that one here. Malani. Now banks give whose money? Customers' money. When the customers ask for the money, bank need to pay it. Remember, the customer's money, even though you put the bank money in a FD, whatever the form, bank need to pay. Then somebody can tell, some person came and deposit for 1 year deposit. Say 1 lakh, they put to 1 year at the rate of 6%. Right? Okay, agreed. Good. After 3 weeks or 2 weeks, that person want to withdraw that money. He had some financial requirement. He said, I want to withdraw my FD. Then no, you can't say it. Because it's a customer's money. So you need to pay. You can have a 2 option. Either හරි මේ මාස තුනට මාස සුමාන තුනට සත පහක් පොලිය නෑ ඔන්න සල්ලි. That's a one. Or some banks, most of the banks are doing, they will give what? Sometimes the normal saving interest rate. right? So bank has liberty to do that, but you need to pay their capital. අවුරුද්දකට දැම්මත් අවුරුදු ගානකට දැම්මත් you need to pay the money to the customer, but at a custom cost. Cost means some penalty. That penalty can be charged by the bank, right? Remember, so because of so many things, right, we need to protect customers as well as we need to protect the bank from customers. අර මම කලින් කිව්වා වගේ කොහමද ණයක් දෙනවා මූ ගෙවන්නේ දැන් ඔන්න මලානේ. So then bank have a problem. So bank have a special provision. Suppose if you take the mortgage after certain amount, what bank can do? Bank can execute the parati, right? We will discuss. I think you may learn all this a little later on. Clear now, right? So therefore, all these things, sometimes regulation need to be protect customers, need to be protect banks, and also need to be protect the systems, the financial systems. Why? Because otherwise people lost the trust and confidence of the systems. Now like this, suppose if you write a check, it must be validated. You know, you in a position to collect the money from this check. If you use the card, it has to be work. Then it's the systems to be work. And fourth one is what? The fourth one is basically we call them as bank cannot be used as a laundry. Bank cannot be used by the people as a laundry. Laundry for what? To clean their dirty money, illicit money or illegal money. The money is come to the bank. Once it's go out from the bank, it's like a cleaning their money. So therefore, bank has not permitted to do that. That is why we have a lot of rules and regulations. I think you may be aware, Money Laundering Act, right? Financial Transaction Reporting Act, Terrorist Finance Act. So you cannot support any illegal or any terrorist activities facilitated. So why all this came? Now you may recall all these things came after Al-Qaeda bombed the what? USA is here, right? Because all the money used by those people, those terrorists, through the banking system, right? Then only they will ask a lot of other queries. Now that is why we have a KYC, right? CDD, right? Suspicion transaction. All things are there today. Why? To protect banks, to not to deal with illegal transaction. Right. Now I think you have an idea about why we need to regulate financial institution. හරිද? ක්ලියර්ද? දැන් හොඳ අවබෝධයක් ආව නේද? ඇයි අපිට මේ අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ බැංකු regulate කරන්න. Clear? Right. හරිද ලක්ෂාන්?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, clear. Good. Right. Thank you. අන්නේම ඉන්න ඕනේ පක්ෂ කාලා. Right. එතකොට දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ තව දෙයක් කියන්නකෝ අපිට කියනවා දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ I think most of you are Buddhist, I hope, right? දැන් ඔය බණ කියනවා නේද? බණ කියනකොට හාමුදුරුවෝ ගාව එක්කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනේ. අර දැකලා තියෙනවනේ බණ කියනකොට හාමුදුරුවෝ ගාව ලෙක්ක. right? සමහර වෙලාවක බුද්ධි ඒ වුණාට මොකද කියන්නේ? එහි හාමුදුරුවෝ. එතකොට හාමුදුරුවෝත් ෆෝම් වෙනවා. නැත්නම් හාමුදුරුවන්ට දින්නේ යනවා ඕගොල්ලොන්ට දින්නේ යනවා. right? ඒ තමයි හාමුදුරුවෝ ගාව අර එහි හාමුදුරුවෝ කියන මිනිස්සෙක් ඉන්නේ. ඒ වගේ ඉතින් මා ගාවත් ඉතින් ඔය වගේ කීප දෙනෙක්වත් ඉන්න ඕනේ. කිව්වම කියන්නේ, right? හරි. Okay. Then now you have an idea about what is why we need to have a regulation in financial system. Okay, now let me now explain who are the people, who are the regulators. Now we are discussing what we are not only discussing Puta, we are not only discussing the banks. So there are different players in the market, like banks. Then we have primary dealers we are going to touch, right? Then we have a finance companies, we have a leasing companies, we have a unit trust, we have a agents, credit agencies. Now with these days, right? Yesterday, Moody has further reduced our Sri Lankan long-term sovereign ratings from CA11 1 to 2. So further downgraded, right? Okay. So then Bank of China, People's Bank of People's China, right? Bank of People's Bank China, they have blacklisted Sri Lankan People's Bank for opening LCs. Oh, those are matters beyond this thing, but there are problems, right? Okay. So then, in order to manage all these things, we have a stock market, Ola, we have insurance. Who are they? They are financial businesses, right? Insurance, stock market, banks, financial institutions, all we call them as players in the financial systems. Okay? Then we will come. Are we having one regulator to control the entire players, or we have a different players or different regulators to control or monitor the financial market? So that is what we have, a multi and single regulator. In Sri Lanka, we have a multi regulators. But some countries you have only one regulator. They will regulate all the financial institutions. I will give you an example. Singapore. Singapore is having only one regulator. They will control all the financial system. But in Sri Lanka, we have a different regulators to control different financial institutions. There are some good things as a bad things also. Having a multiple regulators and single regulator. Advantages of single regulator and disadvantages of single regulator. Advantages of multi-regulators, disadvantages of multi-regulators. In that sense, Sri Lanka is having what type? We have a multi-regulators system. So why? Now you can see we have a central bank, we have a Securities and Exchange Commission, and we have a Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. So different players. We will discuss now who are these regulators, what are their job, what are the institutions they may regulate. Clear? Right? Now what we are going to discuss, now having understood the advantages and regulators, there are different types of regulators in the country, right? Sri Lanka is a multi-regulator system, but there are some countries having only one regulator, right? Okay. Let's look at it, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka as a regulatory authority, right? Okay, so main guide. Now, the regulations of supervisions of banking institution is mainly governed by the Act. මතක තියාගන්න මේ හැම control කරන ආයතනයකටම ඒ සඳහා බලපාන regulation එකක් තියෙනවා. Okay, go ahead to that. Anybody want to ask a question? No? Right. There is a regulatory body, right? Okay, and also the law and the act. Now, okay, I will try to elaborate on that. Now, some of you are working in PABC. So, what is the act, or what is the incorporation? How your organization is formed? Under what act? Under what act it's formed? PABC, what act in the formula? It's a company, it's a corporation, or it's a statutory body? PSC, මොකක්ද?
Corporation.
Right. ඔතේ ඔය නමින්න දින්නේ එහෙම. නමුත් ඒක මොකක්ද? It is a what?
Company.
Company. It's a Sampath Bank, it's a company. Commercial Bank, BFCC, all are companies, right? They're not either. So they form under, constitute under, incorporate under what act? Companies Act. Right? 7 of 2007. Companies Act. Right? ඒගොල්ලෝ මේවා පටන් ගත්තේ ඒක කම්පැනියක්. සම්පතුත් එහෙමයි. එතකොට Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, NSB ඒවා මොනවද? ඒවා ඇවිල්ලා incorporated under what? Statutory body එක. රාජ්‍ය ආයතනය. ඒ හින්දා තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝගේ shares market එකේ sell කරන්න බැරි. කම්පැනියක් නෙමෙයිනේ. තේරුණා නේද? That is for. But කම්පැනියක් වුණාට incorporate කළාට they have to obtain the license from the respective act to conduct their businesses. We need to obtain the license. That is, who gave the license? Give the license by the respective people. Now, say for an example, banks, who gave the license? Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Right? But banks comes under what act? That act is called Banking Act. What is Banking Act? 30 of 1988. Finance companies comes under what act? Finance Business Act. What is the number? 42 of 2011. Then you may have finance leasing companies. That is comes under Finance Leasing Act 56 of 2000. Right? Then we have a primary dealers. They also comes under Treasury Bills Ordinance 8 of 2013. Stock markets or stock, then you have an act of a separate one. Stock Ordinance 7 of 1937, and then after that, that is the primary dealers was established. For
So, excuse me.
Okay.
So, what is the act number 8 of 2013?
Which one?
You said the act number of 2013 something?
Primary dealer.
Yeah.
Treasury Bill Ordinance 8 of 1923.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, Treasury Bill Ordinance, right? So now you see we have a separate act. So Bank of Ceylon, you have a separate act, a separate establishment, right? Not the bank, not the Company Act, but all banks comes under what act? Banking Act 30 of 1988, whereas all the finance companies comes under Act number 42 of 2011. Leasing companies comes under 56 of 2000. But who are the main regulatory body for all these four institutions? Is what you call the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Central Bank also comes under one main act. Even the Central Bank also covered under one act. What is the act? Every time Central Bank say, we are working as for this act. What is that act? There may be amended to this act in 2002 also. That is what you call what? Monetary Law Act number 58 of 1949. So from that Monetary Law Act, then only the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is formed. Right? So now you noted there is a established acts and been covered. That is then, right? The Central Bank comes as a regulatory authority for banks, finance companies, leasing companies, and the primary dealers. There are some other people, but they are the four main players. Who are the regulator? Central Bank. Suppose if you want to establish a company under Companies Act, right? To get the license to do the business, you have to get the permission from Central Bank. Right? I think now you have an idea about Central Bank of Sri Lanka as a regulatory authority. Clear? Right? Okay. And we have a Exchange Control Act. Now you have to add this one to that. Exchange Control Act number 24 at 1953, and it was amended recently. You have to write what is that? Foreign Exchange Act number 12 of 2017. Now what is the present Exchange Control Act? It's called Act number 12 of 2017. Now this 1953 is now it's no more there, and it was replaced by Foreign Exchange Act number 12 of 2017. What is that? Foreign Exchange Act number 12 of 2017. Right, you have to put. Foreign Exchange Act number 12 of 2017. It was replaced the Exchange Control Act number 24 of 1953. දැන් මෙහෙම දෙයක් මතක තියාගන්න. දැන් ඇක්ට් එකට amendment කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? amendment කියන්නේ ඒ ඇක්ට් එක එහෙමම තියෙනවා. ඒකට තව කෑලි එකතු කරනවා. එතකොට කියනවා අපි amendments කියලා. දැන් Banking Act 30 of 1988 still there. ඒකට එක එක කෑලි දානවා. අපි ඒකට කියනවා amendments. Then Banking Act එකට මට මතක විදියට Banking Act එක amend කරලා තිනවා වාර 5ක් 6ක් වගේ මට මතක නෑ හරියට. right? හරි. දැන් ඔන්න මම ඒක මතක හිටින්න ඔයාලට එකක් කියන්නම්කෝ. හරි. උදාහරණයක් මම කියන්න. right? ඕගොල්ලන්ට එතකොට මතක් වෙයි මම කියන එක. මේ කියන එක. ලංකාවේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ constitute එක කී පාරක් මේ වෙනකොට amend වෙනස් කරලා තියෙනවා
20 times.
20 times. Good. දැර්මේ ඒ වගේ තමයි. වෙනස්කම් කරලා තියෙනවා. සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වෙනස් කරේ නෑ. මතක තියාගන්න කෑලි එකතු කළා. මේ කෑලි. මෙතන මුල් එක එකයි කෑලි එකතු කරනවා. දැන් කියනවනේ අලුත්ම පටසක් ගේන්න යනවා කියලා නේද? right. okay බලමු. right. okay. දැන් තේරුණා නේද? ආන් ඒ වගේ තමයි Banking Act එක. සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වෙනස් කළා නෑ. කෑලි එකතු කර. හැබැයි ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වෙනස් කරන්න ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුව වසර ගානක් තිස්සේ මහන්සි වෙලා කළා. හැබැයි මොකද උනේ? පාර්ලිමේන්තුව නෙමෙයි කොහොම හරි විධායකය මොකද කළේ ඒක රිපීල් කරා ඒක කරන්න දුන්නේ නෑ මොකද ඒක කළා නම් ඒ ඇක්ට් එක අනුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංකුවට ස්වාධීනත්වය වැඩි වෙනවා එතකොට කචල්ලි ඒ නිසා ඒක පාස් කළේ නෑ හරි ඒක පැත්තක දාමු ඕකේ සෝ නැත්තම් මේ පාර බැංකින් ඇක්ට් එක අලුත්ම බැංකින් ඇක්ට් එකක් එන්න තිබුණේ නමුත් ඒක හරි ගියේ නෑ ඒකත් මතක තියාගන්න ඕකේ right දැන් මතකයි නේද right දැන් ඔන්න අපි ආපහු යමු අපේ මේකට right okay එතකොට මොකක්ද මේ මහා බැංකුවේ ප්‍රධාන objectives දැන් කෙනෙකුට තර්ක කරන්න පුළුවන් whether these people are doing that yeah they are doing right so what are the main core objective of a central bank right fund is creating a trust worthy and enabling environment favorable to savers and investors helping the transmissions of monetary policy, encouraging the efficient financial intermediation which eventually promotes investments and growth, encouraging effective operations, markets and improves an economy. Then, අපි මේක ඉතාමත්ම සරල කළා කිව්වොත් what are the two main objectives right two main objective what financial what
financial system
price and financial system and what is the other one
economy and price
stability right okay so that is the important thing right good some of you may be aware on that okay now for that we have a financial system stability committee and was set up in 2002 because I told you our financial monetary act right changed or amended in 2002 not change fully not change amended in 2002 so therefore in 2002 onwards we had 4 objectives earlier at which I mentioned to you earlier but with the new amendments we had only 2 objectives right so as one student clearly mentioned the financial system stability and the price and economic stability for that they appoint a committee that committee is called financial system stability committee ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් සරල වැඩිද මන් දන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි හැමතිස්සෙම meet වෙලා take some decisions or maybe give decisions to monetary board to take decision කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද monetary board එකේ right කී දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද monetary board එකේ the central bank එක පාලනය කරන්නේ monetary board එකේ ඒ board එකේ chairman කවුද the governor then we have a treasury secretary is a member right and we have another I think 3 people can be nominated by president now there's a case going on so I'm not going to discuss on that right okay right. So the financial system stability committee right need to provide the advice or what you call provide their vulnerabilities in the financial system and they need to report to the governor and the monetary board to take the decisions about the what you call the policy rates and things like that I don't want to complicate it you, but you need to understand that. Complicate right? Okay, I think you may have an idea now, right? In order to achieve the central bank objectives, there's a Financial System Stability Committee. They will recommend certain things to the monetary board as well as to the governor to take appropriate actions, right? With this, I'll just go to discuss what are the functions of a central bank. What are the functions of a central bank? So central bank objectives, I think we have learned price stability as well as financial system stability. These are the two main. Before 2002, we have 4 functions, but after 2002, and it was further strengthened to 2 objectives, main objectives, right? Okay. So in order to achieve those objectives, central bank need to carry out certain functions. In order to achieve these objectives, right, central bank need to carry out certain functions. Those functions are, we call them as core functions, agency functions. Clear? So it's a little details one, right? What are the 2 functions? Core functions, agency functions. Sometimes we call them as ancillary functions, or sometimes we call those functions as agency functions. So therefore, CBSL under 2 main categories. What are those? Core functions and agency functions. What are these core functions? What are these agency functions? Remember, core functions can be carried out only by the central bank. No any other people can carry it out. If the other people are going to carry it out, remember it's an illegal and punishable under relevant law. But agency function, yes. Function that can be performed by any other institution, but have been assigned by the government to perform as an agency function on its behalf. So government, right, have given power to the central bank to do that function on behalf of the government. Can anybody tell me one agency function? Can me? Now it's like this. Then government give වැඩක් කරන්න central bank එකට power ලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි core functions only the central bank need to do. But central bank also carried out some agency functions. ඒ කියන්නේ government එක වෙනුවෙන් යම් functions කරන්න central bank එකට බලය පවර්ලා තියෙනවා. හරි? හැබැයි සමහර functions තියෙනවා only can do by the central bank. ආණ්ඩුවටත් කරන්න බෑ. Right? So that is how you categorize these functions of the central bank. තේරුණාද? අපි දැන් බලමු මොනවද මේ central bank කරන core functions, මොනවද මේ central bank කරන agency functions. Right? එතකොට මතකනේ ප්‍රධාන central bank තමුන්ගේ අරමුණු ඉටු කර ගැනීම සඳහා functions දෙකක් කරනවා. විශේෂයෙන් වැදගත් වන්නේ core functions. Okay, anybody want to ask a question from me? දැන් හරිද? Right. එකක් functions එකක් අපි කියනවා core functions, අනිත් එක agency function. Core functions only need to be carried out by central bank. No other institution can perform those functions. But there are some functions carried out by central bank can be entrusted by another party to do, especially the government. Well, telling, okay, we are mangwining agency wage වැඩ කරනවාද? මගේ වැඩේ ඔයා කරනවාද? එතකොට ඔයා කවුද? Agency. Right? Agency function. මම Toyota ලංකාවට ගෙන්නන කාර් කම්පැනි. ඒක ලංකාවේ බෙදා හරින්න බැයිද ඔයාට? අන්න මම Toyota කම්පැනියේ ලංකාවේ agency function. Right? Now let me explain to you what are the two types of functions carried out by the central bank. Right. But I try to very simply explain. One is conduct of monetary policy. Conduct of monetary policy. Then it is monetary policy. What is monetary policy? Then I think you may aware monetary policy. I briefly touch, very brief. What are the monetary policy? Can anyone tell me? What do you mean by a monetary policy? We have a two type of policy, Niputa. What is the other type of policy? Sri Lankan economy, we have a main two type of policies. One is monetary policy. What is the other main type of policy? How the කියන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේ පොලිසියක් තමයි හෙට අනිද්ද දාන්න යන්නේ 12 වෙනිදා. මොකක්ද මේ පොලිසියට කියන්නේ? ප්‍රතිපත්තිය. එකක් මූල්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තිය අනිත් එක සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? tat මතක නැහැ. හරි. චමෝද් මොකද කියන්නේ? What is monetary policy? What is the other policy? Which is the Minister of Finance going to announce on November 12th? How you call that policy? මොකක්ද මේ policy ට කියන්නේ? Policy නෙමෙයි policy. ප්‍රතිපත්. මොකක්ද මේ policy එකට කියන්නේ? Come on, anybody? Malidu. We have two main policies. Any country. One is the monetary policy. What is the other policy? Come on. Lakshan? මොකක්ද අනිත් policy එකට අපි කියන්නේ?
Exchange rate policy?
නෑ පුතා. එකෙනෙක් දිහා ළඟින් කිව්වා එහෙමට වඩා හොඳ එක මොකක්ද? අපි ඒකට කියනවා මොන පොලිසියද? Fiscal policy. හරිද? මතකද දැන්? Fiscal policy. Okay? Budget comes under the fiscal policy. Correct. Right? ඒකේ තමයි ඔය taxes, ඔය අරවයි මේවයි ඔක්කොම දාන්න. Right? Monetary policy and the fiscal policy. These are the two policies. So therefore the central bank be more responsible for monetary policy. Central bank monetary policy කියලා මොනවද දාන්නේ? අන්න ඒවට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ එකක්. What? We call them as policy rates. What is that? Policy rates. Can you anyone tell me what are the two type of policy rates? දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් කස්ටමර්ස් ආපුවම දෙනවනේ පොලිය තැම්පතු වලට. හරි. එතකොට ණය දෙනකොට පොලිය දෙනවනේ. කස්ටමර්ගේ charge කරනවනේ. මේ පොලිය තීරණය කරන ප්‍රධාන සාධක දෙකක් තමයි මේ policy rates. How you call these two main policy rates? There are three rates, but what is the main policy rates? Can anybody tell me? අපි කියනවා standard deposit facility rate අනිත් එකට අපි කියනවා standard lending facility rate. මේවට අපි කියනවා central bank policy instruments. අනිත් එක තමයි bank rate. Okay? දැන් තේරුණාද? ගොඩක් බරණම් කමක් නෑ අපි නිකන් ලාවට දරගමු. ඕක පාලනේ ඒ අනුව තමයි අපේ rates වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. දැන් මතකනේ දැක්ක අවුරුද්දකට විතර කලින් what is our interest rate? For 1 year deposit, how much you think? It's average around 12%. Ne? Then අපේ rate එක කීයද? ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ බැංකුවේ FD rate එක කීයද පුතා? අදිෂා ලක්ෂාන් කීයද බැංකුවේ rate එක FD එකට දෙන චමොත්?
5.54 years, sir.
Yeah, around 5-6 like that, no? Right. But 1 years ago, how much is maybe 11, 10, 12 like that, ne? එතකොට කොහොමද මේ අඩු වුනේ? අන්න ඒක determine කරන rate එකට අපි කියනවා policy rates. That is what we call for ඒ කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝගේ බැංකුවේ වැඩිපුර සල්ලි තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංකුවේ තැන්පත් කළාම ඕගොල්ලන්ට හම්බෙන පොලිය. Right? That rate is called standard deposit facility rate. ඕගොල්ලෝ නෑක් ගත්තම සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් එකේ පව් සාපේක්ෂව එතකොට දෙන පොලිය තමයි සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් එකෙන් standard deposit lending rate. ඒ පොලිය අනුව තමයි ඕගොල්ලෝගේ කස්ටමර්ට දෙන පොලිය. Right, ඒක මම වැඩි දුර යන්න කැමති නෑ. ඒක ගොඩක් ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ policy rates ගැන. අපි කියනවා policy rates. එහෙනම් අර මං කලින් කිව්වා වගේ right. එතකොට දැන් කීයද ඔය දැන් තියෙන rate එක කීයද? What is the rate? ඕක අඩු වෙලා තිබුණා ටිකක් කලින්. දැන් ටිකක් ආපහු වැඩි කළා. දැන් කීයද policy rate එක?
SDFR 5%, sir.
5යි
SLFR 6%.
Right. Good. ඔය දන්න ඕගොල්ලෝනේ good. Right. Okay, very good. දැන් ඒක තීරණය කරනවා අඩු පොලියක් ගත්තම මොකද වෙන්නේ? ණය දෙන්න අඩු පොලියට. Right? එතකොට බැංකුව ඒක අඩු කළාම ගනුදෙනුකරුවන්ට ලබා දෙන ණය පොලිය අඩු වෙනවා. සම්පතු පොලිය අඩු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ණය පොලියත් අඩු වෙනවා. ණය පොලිය අඩු වෙලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? මිනිස්සු වැඩිපුර ණය අරගෙන economy එකට දාලා economy is going to be activated. But it is not happen කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. Right. Okay, so there, what is the main core functions? The monetary policy. And then exchange rate policy. Exchange rate policy. Now these days, people are very much worried about this exchange rate policy, no? The dollar problem. Then management of official foreign reserves. Then කීයද තියනවා කියන්නේ? දැන් තියනවා කියන්නේ කොච්චරද? But central bank have a plan to official foreign reserve strengthening, right? But at the moment, according to the Moody's report, I think is that they said around $2 billion US dollars. That is enough for 1.5 months. So that means we have a problem, right? Okay, then macroprudential surveillance, right? What is macroprudential surveillance? බැංකු පද්ධතිය වැටෙන්නේ නැතුව ආරක්ෂා කරගැනීම. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි. බැංකු පද්ධතියට බලපත්‍ර ලබා දීම, බැංකු පද්ධතිය ආරක්ෂා කිරීම, සුපර්වයිස් කිරීම, regulate කිරීම, not only the banks, even for non-bank financial institutions like finance companies, leasing companies, primary dealers, money brokers, certain money changers, they also can come under the national by the central bank. They are monitoring. Then also they going to look after the provisions and settlement of payment systems. Lanka clear like that. The issues of currency notes and coins. Central bank. Right. And completions of disseminations of economic data and statistics. Arthika Toroturu. Both compilations as well as interpretation. And banker and financial advisor to the government and banker to commercial banks. So these are some, you can say, core functions of central bank. What are the core functions? These. Now you know the core functions of central bank. Right? Core functions of central bank. Clear now? Right. Then now we are moving to agency function. Now, can you remember about the agency function? What is it? Agency functions, I told you, can be performed by any other institution, but have been assigned by the government to perform as an agency function on behalf of people. It can be undo when you to deva. What is that? Management of the public debt and fiscal agent of the government. Management and custodian of the employees' provident fund. Management of foreign exchange. Facilitating financial inclusion and balanced growth. As well as money facilitating the investigate, prosecute money laundering and terrorist finance. In other than the main function or the core functions, central bank is the agent for government. But issue treasury bills and treasury bonds. Treasury bills, treasury bonds issue කරීම central bank එකේ function එකක් වෙනුවෙන් ඒක කවුරු වෙනුවෙන්ද කරන්නේ? ඒක central bank කරන්නේ රජයට සල්ලි ගැනීම. Then you and me and others employees provident fund. This is the largest social fund in Sri Lanka. At the moment, I think it is having around 2.4 trillion rupees. The largest fund in Sri Lanka. Employees Provident Fund. Central bank need to manage this one. Manage කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඒ fund එක invest කරලා තව පොලිය ආදායම ගන්න ඕන. එතකොට තමයි fund එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ. Then foreign exchange. Yes. Next, financial inclusion. ඒ මොනවාද? පුළුවන් තරම් බැංකු පද්ධතියේ අපි කිව්වා only 40%. ඒ ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි කරන්න ඕන. Inclusion එක වැඩි කරන්න ඕන. Lot of people try to bring to the formal financial sector. Educating the customers. Improve the literacy level. That is the one functions of agency, functions of a central bank. And not only that, central bank have a separate functions. But I told you, look after the legal aspects, not to use banks to do dirty works or illegal activities. That central bank is having what is institutions to look after the money intelligence, financial intelligence, terrorist finance. What is the arm in central bank which covered that area? Can anyone tell me? Central bank way මේ agency function එක මම මේ දැන් කියපු agency function එක කරන arm එක එහෙම නැත්නම් body එක මොකක්ද? You need to report to them as bankers. ඒ body එකට කියන්නේ මොකක්ද?
Bank Supervision Department.
නෑ ඒක තමයි පුතා මුළු බැංකුවේ සමස්ත දේම බලන්න. නමුත් අර anti money laundering, transaction reporting, suspicious reporting හොර වැඩ වෙනවද කියලා බැංකුවේ බලන්න වෙනම යුනිට් එකක් තියෙනවා සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංකුවේ. වෙනම ආම් එකක්. ඒකට කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නව? How you call that? That they will carry the agency function. ඔගොල්ලෝ ඔය transactions report වල suspicious transaction CFT එහෙම යවන්නේ හිට තමයි කොහටද? දඩ ගහනවා ඒව හරියට කලේ නැත්තම් KYC නැත්තම් CDD නැත්තම් how you call that place?
Financial
හරි අකුරු තුනයි. Okay,
FIU.
FIU, that is what you call Financial Intelligence Unit. Very good. Are you that? Right? Now they support to carry down these financial these agency function. Right now, are you clear now? Right? Central Bank. How is it? Okay then. Right. Now, what do you know about the central bank? And about the account, right? Okay. So tell me, what are the things you need to know about the central bank? Right? Before we just finish the central bank. One regulator, mind you, one regulator. One regulator. Right. Central bank. What do you need to know? What is the act? What is the establishment? How central bank was established under what act? Under what act central bank is established? Monetary Law Act number 58 of 1949 was the main act which central bank established. Right? What are the institutions regulated by central bank? What are the institutions regulated by the central bank? All banks, all finance companies, all what? Leasing companies, microfinance companies. Right? Microfinance companies.
Primary dealers.
Primary dealers. Very good. What else? Money. Who? Right? Who are the other people? Right? We discuss. How that is that? Talk even again. Right? Okay, so who are the other people? Then the exchanges, money exchanges, right? Clear now? Right? Understood? Right. So therefore, I think now you know what are the institutions they come. Right? And what are the core objectives of a central bank? We discuss economy, price stability, and financial system stability. Then we discuss why we need to regulate. We discuss in order to protect customers, in order to protect banks, in order to protect financial systems, in order to not to use bank for dirty works. For that only we have a regulators. So regulator, one main factor is the central bank, which was established under Monetary Law Act 50 of 1949, and under the Monetary Law Act, that the central bank monitor finance companies, monitor microfinance companies, monitor banks, all banks, and monitor exchange like that. money dealers, money brokers, and things like that. And then, so they have two main functions: price and economic stability and financial system stability. Then we discussed, in order to perform these risks, these objectives, they carried out two types of functions. One, co-functions, other one is agency functions. What are the co-functions? Right? So we discuss in detail what are the co-functions: monetary policy, exchange rate policy, management of official foreign reserves, macroprudential surveillance, issuing of license, regulating finance companies, right, broker, restricted dealers, and blah blah. Then provisions of settlement of financial payment and settlement, issuing of currency notes, right, provide, collect economic information and disseminate this information, and as an advisor to the central bank, to the government, and bank to the commercial bank. What do you mean by a bank to the commercial bank? Mean, if the bank don't have a money, they go to the central bank and ask, "Ane mata me hari amari jivat denna, mata nayat denna." How you call? Lender at last resort. Antima naya avasan nawa denna. Right? Central bank and pulang, even it correct. Then they carried out as an agency functions, maintaining the provident fund, management of foreign exchange, facilitating financial inclusion and financial intelligence services through FIU, and issuing treasury bills and treasury bonds to collect funds to the government's activities. Right? Okay. I think now you have a better understand about the central bank. Right? Clear there? Right. So then we'll slowly touch the other part and we'll have a break. What are the other functions carried out is Securities and Exchange Commission. Securities and Exchange Commission, remember, recently they have also changed the act. Recently they changed the act. We call them as the recent act amendment, recent change, I think 2021 or something. I can't remember the act number, but it is 2012. It's new act came, right? This was the old act, was changed the entire act, right? So the Securities and Exchange Commission is therefore responsible for licensing and regulating stock exchanges, stock brokers, stock dealers, unit trust, as well as, remember, the Sri Lankan credit rating companies also comes under Securities and Exchange Commission. Securities and Exchange Commission, right? And they also registered underwriters, margin providers, credit rating agencies, investment securities clearing houses, so many also organizations. You need to, like you bank, you need to get a license from central bank. Likewise, all these parties, if we want to start their businesses, they need to obtain from license from Securities Exchange Commission, right? And it is financial governor and the deputy governor in the charge of financial system stability represent the central bank at the SAE board. At the SAE board, central bank representation right? So you need to understand. Now, Securities and Exchange Commission recently amended with 2001 new act, but this is an old act and there's a new act, right? So Securities Exchange Commission, we are not much worried about, because banks are not covered, but there are some institutions covered, like share market activities are taking place there, right? So if you want to start the unit trust, from where you need to get the license? Not from banks, from securities, margin providers, venture capital institutions. You need to get the permission from Securities Exchange Commission. Right. Third one is the Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. So therefore, all the insurance companies, insurance brokers need to obtain the approval from Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. And that is what you call the Insurance Commission. You need to get the license, right? Okay. Now, this was overlooked, but under regulation industry, they established insurance regulatory commissions. Regulatory commission, insurance regulatory commissions. From there only, you need to take the license to carry out business of insurance, right? So I'm not going to touch all that also, because even though those are under finance, so we are going to discuss a little more on the banking. So therefore, I briefly touch on that. So what are their responsibilities? Like commercial central bank, I'm not going to explain to you, but you need to understand. So we have three regulators who covered in the monetary financial system. What are the three main bodies as a regulators? Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Insurance Board of Sri Lanka, and Industry Regulations Industry Act, right? Like Banking Act. Then now you see there are three acts. Like Banking Act, we have a Monetary Exchange Act, a Monetary Board Act, right? In you look at it in here, so you have a act we call Monetary Law Act. Then you have a in securities, you have a Securities Exchange Commission Act. Recent one, I think, of I can't remember the number, but it is 2021. This is all one, right? Then under insurance, you have a 43 of 2000 Insurance Industry Act. Those are the act facilitate to establish all these regulatory bodies. So insurance, therefore, look after by the insurance regulator, and brokers, banks supervised by the central bank, and the other institutions like stock market, unit trust are monitored by Stock Exchange Commission. Then you have another one, even though I have not mentioned it's here. We have a cooperative banks, right? Grameen banks and all, not SDB, Grameen banks and all. That was supervised by the Commissioner of Cooperative, right? Okay, Commissioner of Cooperative, right? So that we are not going to touch because it's not comes under the banking category. Okay, so we'll have a break now, and then we may start. Now is 10:35. We'll start 20 minutes now from 10:50. Okay, so we'll have a break for 20 minutes, and then we'll start again 10:50. Okay, we start 10:50. So we'll have a break, and so we will going to start second sessions 10:50. Clear? Chamod, okay? Right, okay. Right, let me start now. Okay, so we will start where we have stopped, right? Okay. Right. Now, so far you are okay. Now, the way I explained to you, you are okay, or you need to explain more, or what? Right? Right? Any clarification you need, Puta? Nothing? Hari, on there. Right. No clarification? Right. We'll move into the next one. Okay, let me now look at it, another component of a financial system, right? Now you see, so we need to learn a lot on this. Now, financial institution. Now, these are one other component of a financial system. So, you know, there are a lot of financial institution in Sri Lanka, right? Now, if I'll ask one question like microfinance companies, central banks, finance companies, leasing companies, right? Primary dealers, money changers, securities firms, who all are the players of the financial institution, right? Now, financial institution mean basically firm that engage in the business of dealing with financial and monetary transaction, such as deposits, loan, investments, and things like that. Now this financial institution, they make the financial transaction possible. Make the financial transaction possible. Right. Now let me first take the view of banking business. First, we'll take the financial, banking institutions, one of the component of financial sector. Okay, then before that, if I ask you what are the functions of financial institution, right? I don't want to put you a big trouble, but what are the functions of financial institution, right? One function is functions of financial institution. One function is, you know, without financial institution, me and you can't buy a car. Without financial institution, me and you we can't buy a house. Why? Very difficult. Can, but very difficult. Now, who is doing that part? It is what you call size transformation. That means the banks and financial institution collect small deposit from customers, small deposit from customers, make it a big money, and it give you to us to buy a car. Otherwise, I don't have a 10 million. But depositors putting 100 rupees, 200 rupees like that, banks will do that part. So then banks pool the small savers deposits and give me a loan to buy a car. So therefore, financial institution perform as a size transformation. Small amount convert to the big amount. We call size transformation. Then, are you aware the deposit are short term? No? I think you may aware deposit are short term. Why we call deposit short term? As and when they request, we need to pay back the money. That is short term. But lending is long term. Now, suppose you give 1 million loan to a customer, right? Because you gave 1 million with the collections of small depositors. Now, you can't go to the customer, the borrower, and tell, here I need your 1 million immediately because the customers, my depositors are asking the money. Can you do that? No, you cannot. So there is an always mismatch between right. Okay, some students ask, yes, you can get the record version, right? Okay, now the issue is always we bank take short-term deposits, grant long-term loan. There's always what you call maturity mismatch. There's a mismatch now. Short-term deposits, long-term lending. I'll give you usually for housing loan නම් අවුරුදු 20ක්. vehicle loan එකක් නම් සාමාන්‍ය අවුරුදු 5යි අවුරුදු 7ක් වගේ. Right? So till such time I'll take 1 year borrowings, 1 year short term borrowing. So if the customers are, I need to pay. So where this money? How can I pay to the depositor if they ask the money? Because I have already given a 1 year loan, a 10-year loan to customer. So therefore banks, who is doing? What bank is doing? The bank matching this maturity mismatch. Banks are matching these. They manage these mismatching. That is one of the objective or one of the role of a financial institution, right? And also, you think it's a risk. Financial business is a risk because suppose he took a loan, he's not going to pay me back. He's not going to pay me back. So what is risk? That risk called? That risk we call them as the credit risk. So I have given a loan, he is not going to pay me. I am facing a credit risk. As a bank, we are facing a credit risk. So we need to manage this risk also. So therefore, remember, so the banks or financial institution perform the risk transformation, managing the risk also. So likewise, there may be a lot of functions. You're going to learn a little later on all these things when you go later up, right? So therefore, financial institution play an important role in the financial system, right? Okay, what are the main 3 roles? Size transformation, collect small funds, give it to a long-term loan, then collect small deposits and collect deposit from customers, right? And short-term deposit, give a long-term loans. That is what you call maturity transformation. Third one, the risk transformation. Main 3 functions of a financial institution, right? So that's the overall functions of a financial institution. Now let me now ask from you, how many banks in Sri Lanka? How many banks in Sri Lanka? Can anybody tell? How many banks in Sri Lanka? If you are smart enough, you can tell. How many total banks in Sri Lanka? Any guesses? Come on. How many banks?
License Bank 24.
Okay.
Specialized Bank 6.
You what you said is exactly correct, but you have missed some point there. What is the point you miss? Now Sri Lankan banks can be divided into 2, right? What are the type of 2 banks? What are the 2 type of banks in Sri Lanka? As you correctly mentioned, commercial banks and you said licensed bank, right? Not licensed bank, right? Commercial banks and specialized bank.
Specialized bank.
Okay, right. Why we call licensed specialized bank and licensed commercial banks? Why we call licensed specialized bank and licensed finance bank, licensed specialized bank? Why you add license? That now you will recall. In order to carry out the banking business, you need to obtain license from where?
Central bank.
Central bank. So that is why you call as license bank, right? Now that you run it, I have license bank here. I have balum. I have license bank here because in order to operate the banking business in Sri Lanka, you need to obtain the approval from the regulator. So who is our regulator? Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Then that is what we call the licensed bank, right? That is what we call the licensed bank, right? Okay, so Sri Lankan bank, we usually call them as 2 type of banks. Licensed commercial bank, licensed specialized bank. What are the differences? Can you tell me two major differences between licensed banks, licensed commercial banks, and licensed specialized bank. Two main differences. Come on, you may aware, right? Tell me two differences between licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized bank.
Maintaining current accounts.
Yeah, okay, current accounts not provided by the licensed specialized bank. What is the other one? There may be a limited foreign exchange businesses. Limited foreign exchange businesses. Now they have given certain relaxation to do a commercial license operations, but there may be some limited transaction as far as the foreign exchange is concerned. Right? Okay, good. Right. Now, accordingly, in the Sri Lankan banks, as you noted that in the one which I gave you, it is there, right? Right. So you look at it this. Now today this is the fact. Now how many licensed bank in Sri Lanka in that case? So you may have, as one student is correctly mentioned, that is we have 24 banks, licensed banks. What are these banks? So you can see, right? Now out of these licensed banks, we have a specialized banks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are the banks? National Savings Bank, State Mortgage and Investment Bank, Sanasa Development Bank, Regional Development Bank, Housing Development Finance Corporation Bank, and Sri Lanka Savings Bank. Those are the 6 banks. Then we have around 11 foreign banks. 11 foreign banks, right? Bank of China, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, Public Bank, Bank of Life, Muslim Bank, Muslim Commercial Bank, Indian Bank, Habib Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, State Bank of India, HSBC, Standard Chartered. So these 11 banks are foreign banks, right? Now from that we have a 7 state banks, right? What are those? Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, SMIB, and blah blah, right? So Bank of Ceylon, commercial banks I'm referring to, NDB, Nation Trust Bank, Ceylon Bank, Pan Asia, Amana, Kagis, Union, DFCC, Commercial, HNB, and SUP. So these are the banks, right? Out of this, we have 2 large commercial banks, and also we have 5 banks, all SMIB, NSB, RDB, HDFC, and SLS are state bank, except for SDB, right? What is the Sri Lankan private specialized bank? SDB Bank, Sanasa Development Bank. Okay. Now, having understood this, now you know the players in the market, right? Now you know the players in the market in that case. Okay. So who are the players? Right? The licensed bank. As I explained to you, we divided it into 2. Right. Clear now? Now, last year, if you look at the last year, we had 7 specialized banks. We had 7 specialized banks. Now we 7. Okay. Now I'll ask from you. Now I'll ask from you a simple question. Okay. Last year or in 2019, basically, latter part of 2019 and early 2020, two specialized bank were merged, joined together. What is the two banks? Can anybody tell me? Can anyone tell me? Two state bank merged together. Merge means joined together.
DFCC?
Not TFCC. What are the two banks? Those are specialized bank, if I tell you. Joined together. Can you tell me what are these two banks? Anyone? Any volunteer? Right. These two banks are Puta, the what you call the regional development bank absorbed or taken over the Lanka Putra Bank, Lanka Putra Development. Aladina the Lanka Putra Development. Right. Now you can any a special bank. Eka regional development bank ekata එකතු කළා. එතන merge absorb කළාම ඒ නම නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ acquire කළාම ඒ නම නැහැ. එතකොට දැන් යන්නේ RDB විතර. හැබැයි ඒ වගේම important thing, Sri Lanka Savings Bank was taken over by National Savings Bank. Are you aware on that? Sri Lanka Savings Bank was taken over by the National Savings Bank. But even though it was taken over by the National Savings Bank, but it remained as there. Whereas the Lankaputra Development Bank was taken over by the Regional Development Bank, is no more there. Can anyone give me a reason for that? මම කිව්වේ තේරෙනවද? දැන් 2019 අවසානයේදී එහෙම නැත්නම් 2020 දී හරිද මතක තියාගන්න ලංකාවේ තිබ්බා ස්පෙෂලායිස්ඩ් බැංකු 7ක්. දැන් තියෙන්නේ 6යිනේ. 7ක් තිබ්බා. රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තියට රජයේ ඉල්ලීම මත නැත්නම් සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් එකේ කීම මත රීජනල් ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් බැංකුවට ලංකාපුත්‍ර ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් බැංකුව එකතු කළා. එතකොට දැන් ලංකාපුත්‍ර ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් බැංකුවක් නැහැනේ. ඒක තියෙන්නේ රීජනල් ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් බැංකුවේ යටතේ. නැත්නම් ඒක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම තමයි ජාතික ඉතර කිරීමේ බැංකුව ගත්තා ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිංස් බැංක්. දැන් ඇත්තම ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිංස් බැංක් කියන්නේ මොන බැංකුවද ඉස්සර? කාට හරි කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද? ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිංස් බැංක් කියන්නේ ඉස්සර මොකක්ද නම බැංකුවේ නම මොකක්ද? ඒ බැංකුව ඉස්සර හැදින්වෙන්නේ මොන නමකින්ද? කාට හරි කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? ප්‍රමුඛ නමක් කාට හරි කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? දන්නේ නැහැ නේද? ප්‍රමුඛ බැංකුව කියලා අහලා තියෙනවද ඔයගොල්ලෝ? කලින් අහලා තියෙනවද බැංකුව ප්‍රමුඛ බැංකුව කියලා? ඒ ප්‍රමුඛ බැංකුව තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිංස් බැංකුව බවට පත් වුනේ. හරි මතක තියාගන්න. right? එතකොට ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහ බැංක මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා මේ ජාතික ඉතිරි කිරීමේ බැංකුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිංස් බැංක් ගත්තා. හැබැයි ඒක නම තියෙනවනේ අරකේ. හැබැයි ලංකාපුත්‍ර නෑ. ඇයි ඒකට හේතුව තමයි ජාතික ඉතිරි කිරීමේ බැංකුව පාලනයට ගත්තට තවමත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා සේවිස් බැංකුව යන්නේ ජාතික ඉතිරි කිරීමේ බැංකුවේ සබ්සිඩිය එකක් විදියට. මොකක් විදියටද? සබ්සිඩිය. වෙනම ආයතනයක් වගේ තමයි යන්නේ. දැන් මෙහෙම දෙයක් තියෙනවා. තව බැංකුවක් තව බැංකුවකට ඇබ්සෝබ් කළාම අපි තුමු දැන් ලංකාපුත්‍ර කියලා. ලංකාපුත්‍ර බැංකුව RDB එකට ඇබ්සෝබ් කළාම ඒකේ ඉන්නේ සේවකයෝ. කෝකේ ඉන්නේ සේවකයෝද? ලංකාපුත්‍ර බැංකුවේ ඉන්නේ සේවකයෝද? the employees of the regional, by the Lanka Putra Development Bank also enjoy the same facility enjoyed by the RDB, because there's no more Lanka Putra Development Bank. But there, since the Sri Lanka Savings Bank operate as an independent subsidiary of the National Savings Bank, it is not necessary to give the same packages the Sri Lanka National Savings Bank is enjoying. Right, that's another reason why they have not taken, and there's other more reasons also, because some of the activity, the moment you taken to the NSB, so then there comes under the NSB Act. But as far as the Sri Lanka Savings Bank, we can do a lot of other business activities where National Savings Bank can't do, because the National Savings Bank can't do leasings, but leasing can be done by Sri Lanka Savings Bank. The moment Sri Lanka Savings Bank taken over by the National Savings Bank, then they can't do the business. So therefore, National Savings Bank can do leasing business through the Sri Lanka Savings Bank as far as is put it as a separate entity. Right? So that's the reason. I think now you may be aware that Sri Lanka Savings Bank and Lanka Putra Development Bank were taken over by National Savings Bank and RDB respectively, right? Okay, so these are the new things. And also now, okay, I'll come back to that. Okay, now you know how many banks in Sri Lanka. We have 30 banks. Out of 24 are licensed commercial bank. Then out of that, we have 24 commercial banks and 6 licensed specialized bank, and we have 11 foreign banks in Sri Lanka. We have 12 private banks, 12 foreign banks, and things like that. Okay, and we have now 7 commercial specialized banks. Right. So having understood the institution, now let's look at it, the total assets of the financial system. Now, if you really look at end of 2020, the total assets of the financial system. Now, I'm telling you who are the people comes under financial system as far as the central bank is concerned. Banking sector, right? We won't take other people, right? You look at it, other deposit taking financial institution, specialized finance institution, and contributed contractual savings institution, right? So these are the parties comes under financial system. Who are they? Banking sector, other deposit taking financial institutions, specialized finance institution, contractual savings institution. This is another way you can divide your financial system. Banking sector comprising of central bank, licensed commercial bank, licensed specialized bank. Where other deposit taking financial institution you can consider as licensed finance companies, cooperative rural banks, thrift and credit cooperative societies. Then you have a specialized financial institutions like specialized leasing companies, licensed microfinance companies, primary dealers, stock brokers, unit trust, right? Then market intermediaries, venture capital institutions like that. Then you have a contractual saving institutions like insurance companies, employee provident fund, employee trust fund, pension funds, like that. Now, these are the component of a financial system, right? So when you look at the total assets of the total financial system, end of 2020, December, is around 23.5 trillion. 23.5 trillion. Okay, 23.5 trillion. So the banking sector, so you may have the highest asset base, right? Out of that also, around 13 trillion. Now you know what is the difference between trillion and billion, I hope, right? 15 billion, close to what you call the around 13 to 14 billion trillion is represented by the bank, right? Now this is end of 2020. Now you look at it, you may look at it, what is the figure as at 2021 second quarter, right? This is something called 27 trillion. 27 trillion. This is the total assets. Total asset of financial systems in Sri Lanka is called 27 trillion. Now from that 27 trillion, both licensed banks represented around 62%. Central bank may be 10%. Licensed finance companies is now 6%, not 8%. Insurance 3%, and others 4%. So this is how the total assets of the financial sector is divided among major players. Now you noted that who's having the higher portions of assets is licensed bank. Is from licensed bank. From even that, right? Not even that, you know, we have around 3 trillion with Bank of Ceylon, 2 trillion with People's Bank. Commercial is close to 2 trillion, Dow is 2 trillion. NSB is around 1.8 trillion. And Sampat also having 1 trillion. These are 1 trillion banks. There are some banks between 500 to 1 trillion. 500 to 1 trillion. Those banks are, we call RDB. Sorry, not RDB, NDB. Then you may have, what are the other banks? Maybe Ceylon. Pan Asia, how much? What is the Pan? Are you aware about your asset base? Are you aware about your bank asset base? If I ask from anybody from Pan Asia, what is your asset base? What come kochchar at the bank? Any volunteer from PABC? It is more than 500 or less than 500? Athini? None. Can anybody tell me whether it's more than it is more than Madhushan? You from NTB? Madhushan?
Yep, Pan Asia.
Pan Asia. What is your base? What is your asset base? I'll give you people, lot of people are from Pan Asia. No, hari. Onna mama dera job there. Hari, right. Now for others as well, right? You go and check. You don't want to ask from your boss, but at least you can see your. You take your annual reports. You get the figure. Okay, I leave it for all the Pan Asia students next Saturday when you comes. Now, if you don't know, you just check. I know your rates, but I don't want to tell. I'll give you an exercise for you to, okay, think about your bank's asset base. Likewise, remember, irrespective of your position in the bank, you must be aware that what is your asset base, right? Okay, now I will give you an exercise. All the all these Pan Asia people, okay, check your asset base, right? Okay, ඉගෙන ගන්න දෙයක් නේ. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට දැන් මට මේ මතක් වුණ තව දෙයක්. Now altogether how many banks? 30 banks, right? Now I mentioned the banking sector is having around at the moment something called around 15 trillion banking or 30 malak bank the 13 malak around 15.9 wage තියෙනවා දැන් 16 කියමුකෝ අද වෙනකොට 16 තියෙනවා trillion, right? All the banks now 30 banks which I'll explain to you having roughly close to 16 trillion of assets. Okay, they're on it, right? May 16 trillion waliin out of the 16 trillion, I told you, look at it. Bank of Ceylon having 3 trillion, commercial having 2 trillion, People's Bank having 2 trillion. එතකොට කීයද? 3යි 2යි 5යි 2යි 7යි. එතකොට NSB having 1.7 වගේ. 1යි 5ක් කියමුකෝ, right? Then HNB also close to 1.8 වගේ. එතකොට Sampath also having. අපි මේ ඔක්කොම එකතු කළාම Bank of Ceylon 3, then People's Bank 2.5, commercial 2.7, NSB will take 1.5, 8.5, then Sampath 1.5, 9, 10, then HNB up to 12 okka. Now these bank, you see 6-7 bank contributing, right? How much? Out of 16 now, around 50 odds, 55 to 60% represented the total assets. But only say Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, NSB, People, Sampath, commercial. No, Sampath, we take Bank of Ceylon, commercial, then People's Bank, HNB, Sampath, NSB. 6-7 banks. This is 6 banks. Having an asset base of 12 trillion. All other 24, we'll say 24 banks having how much? Only maybe 4 trillion, no? Only 4 trillion. So that is why I told you Sri Lankan banks are having a market we call oligopolistic. There are few leading players in the market with other set of banks, right? Right? Now, suppose these main banks collapse, main 6-7 banks collapse, it impact the entire banking market, right? Okay, why? Because these 6-7 large bank represented around 50 to 60% of the total, even more than that, 65% of the banking sector deposit, the asset base. Now you can see how significantly important these banks, right? Now the people who are with me, if you don't know your asset base, right? Next, first exercise, right? Please look at it, your bank asset base, right? Clear. Now still we are discussing the players, the financial institutions, or right? We are discussing now the who are the institutions comes under the financial business. One, banking sector. Banking sector. How much they're having? Right. Okay. Next. Then is come the finance companies. Right. Again, I'm asking from you, how many finance companies in Sri Lanka? How many finance companies in Sri Lanka? Can anybody tell me? Now I have given you the bank figure now. How many finance companies in Sri Lanka, roughly? Can anyone suggest? Nelika? Nelika? Which bank you puta? Nelika? Nelika ne?
Dialogue. Oh, Dialogue Finance.
Dialogue Finance. එන හොඳයි හොඳ කෙනෙක්ගෙන් මම අහලා තියෙන්නේ. You are comes under the specialized finance company නේද? හරිද?
Yes.
How many companies comes under finance in your competitors? How many competitors? Anybody? Any person working for a finance company? Madisha? Where bank?
39.
Huh?
39.
Exactly. Very good. How do you know? Madisha? කොහොමද දැනගත්තේ හරියටම? මං කීප එකක් මහලද නෑනේ? Madishan, what do you say is correct? 39.
Read කරලා තියෙනවා.
Good. 39 companies. Right. Out of that, how many microfinance companies, how many leasing companies are there in Sri Lanka? Both are two difference. Any difference? How many leasing companies in Sri Lanka? Again, license. How many licensed finance company, licensed specialized leasing companies in Sri Lanka? Then මතක තියාගන්න finance companies උත් පුළුවන් leasing business එක කරන්න. හැබැයි leasing වලටම විතරක් registered වෙච්ච නැත්නම් license ගත්ත companies කීයක් තියෙනවද ලංකාවේ? How many?
19?
No, not much. Only leasing companies put up. 3. Very good. 3. So then I'm asking you, what is the difference between leasing company and a finance company? Come on. What is the difference between a leasing company and a finance company? Any suggestions?
Finance company get deposits and leasing companies can't.
Exactly. Exactly, Niranjan. Right? Because the leasing companies cannot obtain the public deposits, whereas the finance companies can take the public deposits. So then we discuss, Putta, right? We discuss finance institution collect deposit from customers, give loans. Now leasing also some sort of a loans, no? Either. Right. Okay. Now I'm asking Putta, then from where these leasing companies get the money to lend it or leasing? ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙනේ දැන් අර දෙගොල්ලම ඩිපොසිට් ගන්නවා. ඩිපොසිට් අරන් තමයි කස්ටමර්ට ලෝන් දෙන්නේ. හැබැයි එතකොට leasing they are telling they can't take the deposits. Then how they give the loans to the customers? Right. Can anybody tell me that also? Niranji? Can you give that answer to that also? Okay, you said public, you can't take the public deposit. Yes, I'll agree. Then how they give loans? How? Anybody? Anyone from the panel? Any suggestion? Now, how they do it? They may issue maybe they will take short-term borrowings from market. They take some investments from the bank, from the market, or maybe they issue loans and collect money, and that money will give it to the to customers. But those are expensive. Remember, those are expensive money. But deposits are cheap money. But they have deposits are cheap. දැන් ඔයාට මම කෙනෙක්ගෙන් ණයක් කරගෙන මම තව කෙනෙකුට ණයක් දෙනකොට මගේ cost එක වැඩි. Cost of deposits, cost of funds are very high cost. තේරුණා නේද මම කිව්වේ ඒක? It's a cost high. That is why usually leasing is little higher cost. Right? Because you need to have a specific knowledge to do that. But that you can earn profits. But that is one of the reasons why, because the leasing is not doing well today, by there is no cars. So that is why leasing companies having some problem these days. Right. Okay. Going back again to this one, right? Okay. Now, come on. Right. Now, we learned earlier, both finance companies as well as leasing companies are regulated by Central Bank of Sri Lanka, but they are controlled under two different acts. What is the act covered in the finance companies? 39 finance companies we have. That is Business Finance Act 42 of 2011. Then puto mewa මතක තියාගන්න. මේවා ඉතින් අම්මා අප්පගේ නම දන්නවා වගේ තමයි. Whereas finance, the leasing companies covered under Leasing Act. Right? Okay? Okay, under 2000. Now the financing company, right, also need to obtain the license from Central Bank. So for that, there is a way of applying license. Now, say once you form a company under banking, under Company Act. Now say Dialogue, for example. Say there's a student from Dialogue. So Dialogue Finance Company, say for example. Now, first it's a company. So for that, they have formed under banking, under Company Act, incorporated under Company Act. To carry out their businesses, the finance business, not banking business. You can't use the word banking because you are comes under finance. So therefore, you can take the license under Finance Business Act. From that also, you need to apply to the central bank. What is the control body in the central bank? Non-bank supervision. In central bank, we have two parties. One control the bank. There's a director bank supervision, and there's a director non-bank supervision. You need to apply your request or with some forms and obtain the license after fulfillment of certain requirement. The central bank non-bank financial sector supervision department will issue a license to carry out the finance business. Likewise, the leasing companies also, they have the same issue. What happened? They also to obtain the license from central bank again after fulfilling of certain requirements. Now for that, you need to provide directors, right? You need to provide specified documents, but don't worry about this, right? So you need to obtain a specific license from respective regulatory body, right, by fulfilling certain standard requirements to carry out what business? The finance business, not the banking business, right? Remember, it's not the banking business. So we have 3 licensed companies, leasing companies, and we have 39 finance companies. Okay. Right. If I ask from you, what are the 3 finance companies recently cancel their licenses in Sri Lanka? What are the 3 companies who have central bank have cancelled their licensing? What are the 3 finance companies? Can anyone tell me? What are the 3 finance companies recently cancelled their license by the central bank? I think you are aware. How many? What are those? One is from ETI Finance, Swarna Mahal, and the Finance. Central bank recently cancelled the operations. There's another financial institution. Temporarily they may suspend it, but not cancel. They are having some liquidity problem. That company is called Singaputra. Right? Singaputra finance companies, because if they have not fulfilled certain requirements, like what you call capital adequacy, right? So every bank, every financial institutions need to maintain certain regulatory requirement as far as the capital, as far as the liquidity. If you are not maintaining requirement of the regulators, central bank can cancel their license. License cancel means they can't operate in the business. So that is why Sri Lanka, there are a lot of, out of these 39 finance companies in Sri Lanka, around 15 to 20 finance companies are having today financial issues or liquidity issues. Either they may not have required capital adequacy, or may they are facing a liquidity problem. Because you cannot run the finance business or banking business without having money. Because these people collect the deposit from customers. If you're not in a position to pay back your money to the customers again as when they required, they lost the trust and confidence. If one bank or one finance company have a problem not to settle the customers' deposits, what happened? It may impact or it may affect to all the other financial institutions. Right? So that is called what? Systematic risk. Or sometimes we call contingent effects. So central bank don't allow it to do that because the entire system will collapse. If the entire system is collapsed because customers are going to the bank and ask the money. If your customers go to the bank and ask the money, how you call that? What is the technical word you're using? Customers go to the bank and ask the money. We had a situation, similar situation for Ceylon Bank one time. Customer felt that this bank is going to collapse and go and ask the money. Can any bank give the money when the customers ask the entire money? No. How can you give? Because they have given loans. But banks, because as per the rule, customers' money need to be given as when they requested. How you call technically that incident? That incident we call depositor run. How you call? Depositor run. Technical word, depositor run. Suppose your customers go to the bank and ask the money, is called depositor run. But in today's context, before you go to the bank and ask the money physically, how are you going to do the withdraw the money? You try to do electronically. You try to remove your money from the bank through electronic forms. That is called electronic run, RUA. Now it's simple as this. Simple as this. Now, I'll just give you an example. Now, your parents, now you heard a bomb blast in your bank somewhere. Suppose something happened in Colombo, Bombaliviti or Kolpiti, Pan Asia, for example. Then there's a news went on like this. Pan Asia, Kolpiti, Pan Asia, Padana Shaka, Vasila, Vishala, Bombay, Pipuri. Example, not anyway. There's a bomb blast took place in front of the Pan Asia Bank Kolpiti. Now what happened? What your mothers try to do, what your parents try to do, immediately they try to call you. Mobile. Puta, daughter, then she answered, or he or she answered, what happened? So both are there, I am happy, they are there, right, okay. So that is, what is the first method? Electronic form. You get to know your daughter and son is living, so through the electronic form. Suppose both are not answered, electronic form is not work. What you are trying to do now? What your parents try to do? immediately physically rush to the bank, right? Same thing. If you noted that any bank issue or any bank problems, if you get to know bank's going to collapse, what you try to do? You try to immediately transfer your money to the another account, or you take the money for whatever you can. Now you know what is today. Now you can transfer account to another bank. You transfer. That is electronic run. That is electronic run. Usually what happen if this happen like this, bank will do stop all these electronic transaction. So they say no, it is no operation, temporary out of order or whatever. So then you can't transfer the money. Then what you do? You physically move to the bank and wait for the queue to take the money out. That is physically you are going to there. So that is called the depositor run. Depositor run. Now you learn two techniques now. What is that? Depositor run. What is the other one? Electronic run. Okay. Right. Sometimes you may heard the story called bank run. Banko duo banko tussagi nae. How they what you call bank run? Right? Now sometimes the bank customers go and ask to withdraw the money, everybody is going to withdraw the money. Bank have a problem. Then what bank is doing? Bank initiate certain strategies. Okay, what they are doing? We will give you only maximum of withdrawal of 100,000 per customer per day. So your deposit you can't take it. But they give this is only 1 lakh per day. Or otherwise what they do? Bank open only for 2 days per week. Thereby reducing the money going out from the bank. So that sort of a phenomena is called bank run. It doesn't mean bank run, right? Okay. Now we have a 3 type of run in any problem with the banks not maintaining proper adequate liquidity as well as the capital. What are the 3 runs? Electronic run, depositor run, and a bank run. First 2 customers try to do, third one bank is trying to do. Now why all this problem? Why all these runs? Because various reasons. Maybe due to the loss of trust and confidence of the customers towards the bank. That is why at the beginning I told you banking business is purely depend on trust and confidence of the customers. In order to build the trust and confidence of the customers, bank need to maintain or financial institutions need to maintain certain required liquidity capital. Now, coming back to my topic, banks are okay. There are some issues of banks also, but banks are okay. But finance institution or finance companies and leasing companies play a problem today of meeting the requirements of the central bank. What are the requirements? Maintaining mainly capital and having liquidity. They are issuing a liquidity problem. So like that. Right? So that is why central bank now are monitoring all these finance companies, and central bank is requesting if you don't have a required capital, find the sources from another party who can pump the money to your business. That's another one. Right? Or otherwise, what is the other option available? Join together. 2, 3, 4 finance companies join together and form a one company. So that is what you call consolidation. Now central bank is telling, okay, you can consolidate with bank, or maybe you within yourself you can consolidate, or maybe join with a strong bank or a strong finance company. Join. And they feel it. And we also feel it. Sri Lanka, we have enough financial institution. Too much. Right? I think now you understood about the leasing finance companies. And even though it is not mentioned here, we have microfinance companies also in Sri Lanka. We have 4 only registered licensed finance microfinance companies. How many? 4. You think how many finance company, how many microfinance companies in Sri Lanka? Can anybody tell? We have registered only 4, licensed only 4. But how many finance company you think available in Sri Lanka? Any guesses? Ketaki, can you tell me how many microfinance companies in Sri Lanka? Roughly? Anybody? Nelika? How many microfinance companies you think in Sri Lanka? Nimal? Niranji? Sandaruan? Chamod? Anybody? Can anyone tell me how many finance companies? Sanduri? Can anyone tell me how many microfinance companies in Sri Lanka? Not registered. Registered only 4. Licensed only 4, right? We have enough and enough. Sometimes maybe around 200, 300. You may see some boards there, no? Those are not registered. There are a huge number of microfinance companies available. They are offering loans to the customer at a very high interest, maybe 30%. Because microfinance customers or entrepreneurs, they are the people who run the country's economy. They may contribute around to the 50% of the GDP, but they have no access to formal credit. Banks not willing to give because why? They don't have a balance sheet, they more have a securities. So these people therefore going for all these unregistered leasing microfinance companies and obtain loans and provide their higher interest rate for them. Right? Okay, so you need to understand. But according to the central bank of, according to the finance sector, finance companies, at the moment they are not doing well because many reasons, especially the leasing, because no leasing opportunities, not much vehicle imports, so their business is impacted. So I told you in Sri Lanka, the banking sector is around 16 trillion, whereas the finance companies asset base, you think is how much? It's maybe around max 1.5 trillion or 2 trillion max. 2 trillion only. Out 39 finance companies having 2 trillion. One bank is having 2 trillion. Even though we have a large number of players, the asset base is less. Right? Understood, no? That is, you need to think. is around 1 odd trillion or maybe 1.78, maximum of 2 trillion of asset, whereas the banks is having 16 trillion. And 40 or 39 or 42 finance companies, including leasing, right, having only how much? Having only 2 trillion. Right, you need to understand our position. Right, I hope you understood that. Then going back against another player, who is going to be another player is the primary dealer. Primary dealers. Who control the primary dealer? Central Bank of Sri Lanka. How many primary dealers in Sri Lanka? Now, what is the job of a primary dealer? Now, we discussed earlier, Central Bank of Sri Lanka performing what job? What function? We say agency function. What is agency function? They act as an agent for a bank, for government. What? To provide money to the government. Government appoints central bank to perform as an agent to collect money and give it to them. Central bank is doing that through whom? Through the primary dealers. Through the primary dealers. They issue treasury bills and treasury bonds to the primary dealer. Through the primary dealers, maybe market can take bite. That is a secondary mark. Therefore, central bank issuing the treasury bills and treasury bond to primary dealers. So the firm that buys the government securities mean usually treasury bills and treasury bond. Earlier we'd have the securities, but now they are not operating. So treasury bills and treasury bond directly from the government with the intention of reselling them to others. What primary dealer is doing? They are selling those treasury bills to others. Right? So the public debt departments of the central bank is responsible for supervising primary dealers. Bank supervision department of the central bank is responsible to supervising banks. The non-bank department of the central bank is responsible for supervising the finance companies and leasing companies. Likewise, the primary dealers are supervised by central bank. Which department? Public debt department. Now about the primary dealer, we have issues. You know, you heard a lot of issues on that primary dealer issues. One governor is not in the country even. Perpetual treasuries, entrust securities are private. Now we had around 13 or 14 odd primary dealers. Now only 9 are operating. 9 are operating. Even for, I'm very sad to say, Pan Asia also temporarily suspended of dealing with primary dealing. primary dealing businesses was also stopped by the Central Bank of Pan Asia Banking Corporation. Their license also temporarily stop it. So therefore, only other people can buy the primary treasury bills and treasury bond from where? From the market. Right? So therefore, now you know the primary dealer's job. These are the players in the financial institution. Right? Okay. Right. Who are the other players in the market? Now we learn banks, finance companies, leasing companies, primary dealers. Then we have a unit trust. Who controls the unit trust? Securities Exchange Commission. What they do? There are three parties for unit trust. There is a company who manage the fund, right? Collect deposit from unit trust holders. Maximum value of unit trust is how much? Only 10 rupees. Like they buy units as unit trust, pool entire money. They also invested in different places. And they get dividends as the capital. That is how unit trusts work. There are three parties. One for unit trust company, then the customers of who are holding the unit trust, and third one is we call custodian or trustee. Trustee means there's an independent body. They will see whether these money collected from investment company or what you call the trust company is using a proper manner. What are the benefits customers going to get it? The dividends as well as capital gains. What do you mean by a capital gain? You can sell it in the share market. You can now say 10 rupee unit trust, you can sell it to 12 rupees. Then you get 2 rupees extra. That is your capital gain. For dividends, the profit you are going to get for 10 rupees, say 1 rupee. So that is your 13 rupees, 3 rupees from form of dividends as well as form of capital. Right? Okay. Then there's another players in the market we call stocks, share market. There are some players in the market. You can buy and selling shares. Shares also. Me and you can't go into the share market. You have to make use of broker, brokering company. You can buy the shares and sell the shares through the brokering. What are you getting? You are getting money as from the dividends as well as a capital gains. Again, that means your share you buy for 10 rupee, you share sell it at the 12 rupee, that is a premium. So that is 2 rupees you're going to get as a capital gains. There are different types of stocks in the market. We call common stock and preference stock. Now the common stock, as organization earn profit, only you will get it. But preference shares, they will give you some amount of interest or some dividends, right? So they are sometimes we call cumulative preference shares. That means, so if you are not paid this month, you need to get it that money after 2-3 years. There are different type of stock market players, but stock market or stock brokers are controlled by who? Securities Exchange Commission. Right? Now you see there are different institutions. You noted that in your financial system, right? You come across some more players. Now we learn, right? Okay, so let's look at it. What other players? It is in your mention, right? We learned central bank, banks, finance companies, leasing companies, primary dealers, money brokers, securities firm, insurance companies. There are also players in the market. We have around 26 finance companies in Sri Lanka. Insurance companies can be divided into two. One for life insurance or general insurance. Some are doing both. In Sri Lanka, we have two companies, insurance companies are doing both long-term and general insurance. What do you mean by a long-term? Long-term means the insurance is given for life insurance. These are long-term insurance. General insurance, we call them as the vehicle. Usually it's going for year basis. Your vehicle insurance, your more certain, for example, certain those insurance you need to update it regularly, right? So some insurance companies doing the both function. In Sri Lanka, we had two who do the general and life, but other insurance are life as well as general, right? So there are some insurance players also in the market. So we're not going to, but these are component of a finance company, financial institution, right? And then we have a pension and provident fund. We discussed that. We have a unit trust. We have a venture capitals. What is venture capital? Venture capital people who provide short-term loans, wealthy customers, and they provide some loans to the business entrepreneurs. If they have a technical know-how, if they have a mental visions to start business, they don't have money. Sometimes these venture capital companies pump those money to those institutions and bring the business up. Those companies we call venture capital companies. Right? So these are collectively, we call them as whom? We collectively call them as financial institutions. Right? So we learn now. We learn, see 4 hours. We learn two components of a financial system. Right? We learn two components of the financial system. Right? Okay? Right. So let me wind it up today. Right? But we may discuss, I will summarize. Right? Before we start summarizing for next 10 minutes or so, have you clear? Ketaki, okay there? Ketaki, okay there? You are there, no, Ketaki? I can see a nice doll here. Ketaki? Right. Yeah, okay, Katie. Thank you. Adugani, hoda EMR message right. Then Lakshan, okay. Lakshan?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, right.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now what we have before I wind it up today, I just briefly summarize what we have learned. So what we have learned, we learned what is system. Then we discuss what is financial system, right? And then we move into discuss the component of a financial system. What are component of a financial system? We learn regulate first. Three types of regulators we discuss: central bank, Securities Exchange Commission, and insurance board. So what is the role of a central bank? We discuss in greater length. We discuss their objectives. We discuss their functions divided into two: core and the agency, right? And we basically discuss a lot of things about the central bank. Then we discuss a little bit of Securities Exchange Commission. We discuss a little bit of insurance board activities, regulators, right? We went into discuss in detail about the financial monetary aspects. And we discuss why we need to monitor, why we need to have a regulatory systems in Sri Lanka. Right? I told you we are very sensitive for cash. We are dealing with money, so therefore money is very sensitive. So therefore we need to protect customers. We need to protect the banks. We need to protect the systems. And also we need to protect the banking system by using unwanted illegal activities. That is why we learn regulators. Right. Having discussed in detail length about finance companies, leasing companies, banks, and other financial institutions, we went in to discuss the second component of a financial system is the financial institution. And we discussed financial institution. What is the function of a financial institution? And then we discuss what are the type of financial institution. There, of course, we discuss bank. We discuss what is licensed bank, what is licensed specialized bank, what are the difference, how many banks, latest development of the banking sector. Then we discuss the finance companies. There we discuss finance companies, how many finance companies. Then we discuss leasing companies. What are the differences between these two? What are their problems? How they are categorized? How banks are categorized? What is the total financial system asset base? What is the contribution by the bank? What is the contribution by the financial institution, companies like that? Then we discuss the other financial institution. What are those? What are microfinance companies? Then what are stocks brokering companies? What are unit trust companies? what are the products they are selling, who control, what is the role of a venture capital, and we almost basically discuss the Sri Lankan financial institution. Okay, right. So we discuss about the primary dealer and their objectives, right? How many primary dealers? And I'll give you assignment to check people who don't have your bank asset base to go to your banks and visit your website or annual reports, and then you can get an idea. Or otherwise, you ask from manager. Who check it's good for you, know whether your manager is aware. Right? Suppose your branch is 100 billion, your entire bank is 100 billion. Just check with you how much you have your branch. Also, that's also not a bad thing. No? බැංකුවේම 100 නම් අපේ බ්‍රාන්ච් එකේ ඇසට් එක කීයද එහෙමත් පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඔයගලට පුළුවන් කොච්චර කන්ට්‍රිබියුට් කළාද කියලා බලන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ බ්‍රාන්ච් එකේ. Right. So with this small note, so we will wind it up today. You have before I close it today, we'll start from next Saturday sharp 8:30. Right? Anything you need to clarify, or otherwise, what you need to know, what you need to do, simple thing. One is go through, find out any clarification if you want to find it out from me, note it down, and first thing in the next Saturday morning, ask from the I have not understood, sir, this. So therefore, please explain it again. I will do it for you. Okay? Right. Have a nice weekend, and we will see on next Saturday, same 8:30. Okay? Thank you very much. Oh, you have no problem, I suppose, and no any question? Sure? Right. So we'll wind it up today. Clear? Right. Okay. Thank you very much.